Hey guys, J-Man here, back for another versus. Today we are doing Captain America, the first Avenger versus Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So I haven't done a versus. We just did a versus last week, which was horror, which was the horror versus. We did the two Ari Aster films, so Midsommar versus Hereditary. So I thought we got to get back to the comics. And yes, in March we will be starting our fantasy versus tournament. So that's going to be, we're doing two tournaments. We're doing the male leads. So like we're talking like the Conans or like Hercules, Lou Ferrigno, those kinds of fantasy movies. Not Conan the Barbarian because that's the best movie ever made. So obviously that's not going to be in there. It's too good for the tournament. But then we're going to do a female-led version. So Barbarian, Queen, Red Sonja, that. So we're going to have two different tournaments with 8 movies. We're going to start that in March. I wanted to slowly get back into the verses. For those of you who didn't see last night's Action Elite, we did Under Siege versus Under Siege 2. So that was a lot of fun. But you can't do a versus on your own because it wouldn't be very fun. So I do have a big panel here. I'm just going to bring them in. I'll bring in my regular first just to get him. Hey, Steve.
Hey, J-Man.
All right. I'm going to bring in our next guest, and I don't have I still don't have intros for everybody. So let me see what did I give last? I think I gave this one the last time for this person.
Warriors, come on to play.
Hey, Chris.
How's it going, boys?
Good. I should have done Princess Bride. Now that I just thought of that.
Wow, missed opportunity.
That's a missed opportunity, man. All right, so we got someone new to the stream. What can I give? What can I give him here? Let's he might appreciate this.
Oh my
God! Hey, Classic Comics, are you a fan of Troll 2?
Honestly, I can't say I'm a big fan of Troll 2. I remember
seeing
the first
we got to redo this. We got to redo the intro.
But I don't know if I ever saw the second one or not. I might have on cable or something. But thank you anyway. I dig that U.S. Agent T-shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's the only Captain America related shirt that I have. So it is what it is. Okay, so Greymalkin is coming on. Unfortunately, Professor Bill, something had come up, and Sean also had a last minute thing come up. So it'll be the 5 of us once we get Greymalkin on here. But I'm going to explain how this works, and Greymalkin already knows how this works. So this is what I call a space versus, and what that actually means is that we're going to use my space system of rating. It's something I developed, maybe in university, Steve. I don't know. It's been like a decade or maybe more. Maybe has been 20 years. Jesus, no, couldn't have been that long.
University, 23 years.
Wow. Okay, so 23 years ago, I came up with this system. It's called SPACE: story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. And I'll explain the categories when we get to them. So each category gets a score. And this is how I review movies and books and shows and comics. I give a score between 0 and 2. So 2 is awesome and 0 is bad. So 1 is average. If a movie gets a 5 or a 6 out of 10, that means it's average. So to me, if I give something a 5 or a 6 out of 10, that's not bad. That means it's average. 7 or 8 is like, yeah, 8, and then 9 and 10 is like, wow, this is like a masterpiece. And I also grade movies and comics against themselves, not against others. So let's say if I gave a comic, like I think I gave Gunslinger Spawn issue 16 or something. I gave that like a 10 out of 10. That does not mean that Gunslinger is better than Watchmen. That's not how that works. It's like, if you want a Spawn comic and you buy a Spawn comic and you have preconceived notions of what a Spawn comic is going to give you, this gave it to you. That's the score, right? So if you're pumped up to read an incredible, like I like this Joe Fixit #2 came out. I thought that was an action-packed, awesome book. I gave it like a 9 out of 10, which you're like, how can this be a 9 out of 10? Well, because Joe Fixit, he's fighting Spider-Man, Kingpin's controlling him. Like a lot of cool stuff happened. Yeah, that's what I want from Joe Fixit. If I buy V for Vendetta, I'm not looking for the same experience as I am from a Joe Fixit comic. And that's how I rate it. It's the fairest way to do it. But for a versus, the way we do it is we're going to say which had the better story. You don't have to grade it. You don't need to give me a grade. We're going to say for story, which is better, Captain America First Avenger or Winter Soldier, which had the better story. And then we're going to do it. Each person's going to give their reason why they picked that. And I'm going to mark it down. And then it's going to be by committee and see what the votes come out as. And I'll explain the categories as we do them, because sometimes people get a couple of them mixed up. Okay. So I also posted a poll. And the questions are First Avenger versus Winter Soldier. So I put First Avenger is way better. Winter Soldier is way better. First Avenger by a hair. Winter Soldier by a hair. So right now, Winter Soldier is way better is at 29%. Okay, so we've got 7 votes. All right. Am I freezing up or anything?
Nope.
No. Okay, because I just heard some storm over here by my place. Steve, are you hearing that? There's lightning, man. It was awesome. It's like Thor has given us his blessing on this stream. Thank you, Thor. Okay, so Steve, let's you and I do, like, you'll go first, then me for this first category, just so the guys can get a thing. Before we get hardcore into it, I just want to spend maybe a minute, and I'll go first to give you an idea, just a minute on both movies and our kind of just general thoughts of what was going on with when these movies came out. So MCU is gearing up. Captain America is a character that I've always loved. I loved the Red Brown shows, the two TV movies. Red Brown's a great guy. I've talked to him many times, and he's on my Facebook group for You're the Hunter from the Future, which I love. He's a great guy. Responds to all my stuff. I send cards to his thing, and he reposts anything I send Red Brown. He reposts to his Facebook group. So I love Red Brown. When the 90s Captain America, those movies were a bit cheesy. So when the 90s one was coming out, I was following that with Albert Pion. I thought, oh yeah, here we go. And we saw the pictures of Red Skull. We're like, yeah, Red Skull looks awesome. And we saw Captain America. Yeah, it looks pretty good. The shield looks good. It's not that plasticky, this is going to be awesome. And that movie came out, and like the first 10 minutes, like, yeah, this is awesome. He's fighting Red Skull. And then you're like, oh, what happened? And then this movie just kind of went down. And, I like Ronnie Cox and stuff, and it was pretty, but like, it's just like, no. And I just thought Captain America was dead, and he was not one of the characters that was sold off. Like, Spider-Man was sold off pretty quickly for the rights for the films. X-Men, obviously. The two big comics are always X-Men and Spider-Man. Let's face it. That's the, so when they did Iron Man to me was like a B Squad character. I liked them from West Coast, but that's it. Like, I'm like, so that first Iron Man movie was pretty surprising. I think we're all like, wow, that was really good. Like, what happened here? And then when Captain America First Avenger came out, I was like, God damn, oh yeah, here we go. And I thought it was bloody awesome. And then Winter Soldier came out, like, well, God damn, this is bloody. What the hell? Like, this is crazy. To me, these are the two. This is the peak here. We're like, if someone told me that these two Captain America movies are their favorite Marvel movies, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to argue that. It's like, I think most people agree that both movies are pretty good. I think a lot of people do like Winter Soldier a little bit more, but when we break it down by category, that's where the interesting aspects will come into play, because it won't just be, oh, I like this one better. We're going to break it down a bit. So I think I picked this because I wanted two movies that most people think are both pretty good. Like, I was thinking, like, should I do Captain America versus Iron Man, like First Avenger versus Iron Man 1, which might be tougher for people. I think a lot of people like Iron Man 1. But I thought this might be a little bit more interesting. The two Captain Americas, like, let's see where they stand on this, because I actually like both movies a lot. So that's kind of my just general thoughts. Steve, what are your general thoughts on the two movies?
I mean, I didn't grow up a Captain America fan. My guys were Spider-Man and Hulk. I saw the 90s. I saw the 90s one, and I'm like, what in the holy hell?
Oh, man. The rubber ears?
Yeah, I was pretty much like, this looks, yeah, okay. So, I mean, when Captain America came out, I was a little bit cynical that they could even do it properly, because I haven't, to that point, been given any evidence that they could. So I was pretty blown away how much I liked the first Avenger. I thought this is pretty damn good. And then I saw Winter Soldier, and I'm like, this is pretty damn good. both are definitely, for me at least, top 10 Marvel movies, period. It's going to be really interesting to see how we break this down.
Yep. Okay, cool. Chris, what are your general thoughts without spoilering what you like better?
From phase one, I thought First Avenger was the best film. I got to be honest. I thought it was better than the Avengers film. I thought it was better
Agreed.
than Iron Man, the Hulk, even Thor.
Yeah,
I thought it, at first I went into the film thinking, my God, I'm not going to be able to get past the fact that the Human Torch is walking around with Cap shield. But it didn't take very long before the world realized that Chris Evans was born to be Captain America.
Oh yeah.
And then the Winter Soldier came out, and anyone real knows that it's Buck, but I never thought it would be such an action whodunit love story. It is. I thought it was fantastic. It was, again, one of these sequels that does justice to the first one by representing the character properly. There's no big change in Steve from the first film to the second film.
Yeah.
For the solo movies, at least. And I thought it was really well done, that the fact that it's still the same Steve. He just happened to wake up 70 years later and just put somewhere that he really has no control of. And it was cool to see Steve in the first movie come from nothing to become Captain America, and the struggle that was, and feeling the weight of the nation, and turning around in the next movie, seeing the betrayal of a nation to Captain America.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. I'm just posting your guys' links in the chat here.
Thank you.
So guys, the links to everyone's channels is in the description of this video, plus all my other videos, and they're in the chat. And Classic Comics, I'm going to add you to my list on my other streams. Okay, so Classic Comics, thank you so much for coming on last minute. I literally just sent you a thing. I was like, come on in, and you came in. So what are your thoughts on the two movies without spoilering which one you like better?
Well, of course, I mean, I like both films for different reasons. I think, the great thing about the first one is it did such a good job of setting up and establishing Steve's character, particularly before he becomes Captain America. Right. And, it makes him such a likable, literally an underdog you can root for. And it shows his selflessness and what just like a, gosh darn decent guy he is. And right. I thought that overall, it was a lot of fun. I think it was Joe Johnston that directed that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I think, I would have preferred, in my head, I kind of had images of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Indiana Jones, because, he's fighting Nazis and everything. Yep. And I never felt like it quite got to that level with the action. But it wasn't bad, certainly. And a lot of the Easter eggs were fun in it, because it was set there in the 40s, like that scene where they're at the World's Fair.
Yeah, Jim Hammond or whatever.
Yeah, and you see the torch, the Human Torch in that awesome case. It's like, oh my God. And then the second one, I thought it just did such a great job of bringing him into the modern world, and really did a great job of bringing in Winter Soldier and establishing that. And that had just fantastic action, and that was really great. So both are excellent movies. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with that, I'm just going to start. I got a little thing here to mark our votes. All right. So I'm gonna ask for a volunteer on the first. So the first category is story. So we're just going to say, which one do you think had the better story and why? Does anyone have Chris, do you have a clear, like, are you, because sometimes people aren't sure, and then I'll let them go last and hear us talk, but do you know which one you think is better for story?
Yes.
Go for it.
For me, the better story is the Winter Soldier. This represents the whole idea of Buck returning and Steve going, or basically moving or how do I start this? The fact that Steve is willing to lay down his own life for Buck to realize who he is, to help deal with because of the fact he can't remember that he's Bucky Barnes,
Right.
and that Steve is willing to lay down everything, and the fact that storyline then progresses all the way through till today, that still the offerings that the MCU is dealing with today. That story right there just sent shockwaves throughout the rest of the MCU. Everyone is battling against the Winter Soldier, making that he's a true villain in everyone's eyes except for one person. And when he realizes that it's Buck, Steve will then stand up for his friend. And that's why I said it's a great love story, because it's, it's not, I'm not saying that it's anything other than it's just true friendship and family, that these two men look at each other as brothers. They're brothers in arms. Let's be honest. They fought in the Second World War together. But it's the shockwaves spread out through the rest of the MCU for countless films afterwards of the Winter Soldier's broken storyline, where Steve is progressively trying to help and defend him by any means necessary, even going up against Tony Stark later on in the time. But yeah, the story also represents a man out of time, where Steve's doing everything he can possible to adjust, trying to witness pulp culture, trying to catch up on history, trying to catch those references that that he drops here and then, these little comedic moments. And then you have the whole backstory of S.H.I.E.L.D. Crumbling and being infiltrated by Hydra, and everything that starts there, and that's felt in later films as well. So that's why I felt that the Winter Soldier, pound for pound, it was probably the best story between the two, just because of the ripple effects that it has for outside characters that are in that film, all the way through to the Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is a tough one, because like if I ranked these movies on their own, I would have given the stories equal rating. So now we're like, I'm in this. I've got to get into this nitpicking mode. Right? Like, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, it's not lost on me the first Avengers storyline as well.
Oh yeah,
because the ripple effects are cast out from that one as well. When it comes to, in particular, Agent Carter, she ended up getting her own 2 seasons. We got to see her rise through the ranks of S.H.I.E.L.D. and show up in other films, whether she's a little bit older or completely aged as well outside of Captain America's films. Like she showed up in Ant-Man, or the second Ant-Man movie, I believe, or possibly the first one. Either way, when she was on the council speaking to Hank about the serum, or the Pym particles, pardon me. So it's not lost on me. I'm not going to sit here and say that one is mountains ahead of the other one. I'm just saying the storyline that's presented by concerning the Winter Soldier is just, the ripple effects is fantastic. And then the story on top of that, with Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. was just something spectacular to watch. And the total about face of Robert Redford's character as well.
Yeah, and I think everyone agrees on this panel that both movies are amazing. Like this is going to get down to a little bit of slight nitpicking, and also just your kind of feel towards it. Like you know what I mean? Like I like serials. I like Rocketeer. I love that 40s style. Like that's, for me, Indiana Jones needs to always be in the 40s. That's my big negative for the Indiana Jones movies, is that they keep making them to where right now he's in the 50s and the 60s, and I feel that you're losing that 40s element. So I love those kinds of things, but then Winter Soldier has so many good things about it, and the relationships and all that. It's tough. I'm kind of on the fence. So Chris, okay, you've got me getting into I'm like, maybe I'm leaning towards Winter Soldier now because of your points. I'm gonna go last on this because this is my stream, and that's just how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna go last on this one because I'm just gonna be a dick and let everyone else try to convince you. Oh, we got Hold on, we've got our next panelist just in time. Just in time. Where's my? I do have an intro for you, buddy. Here we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hail Krakoa.
All right, hail. No, it's not X-Men. Stop it. We're not. We're not.
What's up?
Oh man, how's it going, dude? It was nice seeing you last night on the stream. The mass.
Hey, MMM.
It's a good choice, man. Listen, this is a tough one, man. We're giving you a tough one. Okay, so Gray, you already know how the space stuff works, so I don't need to go through it with you. You came just in time, but I'm gonna let Steve or Classic Comics. Steve? Do you have a pick, or do you want to hear? You have a pick? Steve. Let's just go with go with Steve then.
Well, it's Winter Soldier. With all due respect to First Avenger, because I really enjoy First Avenger, I think Winter Soldier may be actually the best story of any of the movies in the MCU.
It's in the top 2 or 3 at least. It's not.
It's to me the top, and the reason why is because, with all due respect to all of the Marvel movies, it feels like an actual thought out story.
Yes,
like they sat down and they thought, okay, how can we take this tremendous character who is Captain America, who everyone loves, and he was leading out the Battle of New York, and how can we give him the biggest gut punch in history? Well, let's see. Let's say Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. So all that stuff you saw him do in First Avenger, Hydra kept saying, you cut off one head,
right.
2 heads will grow. And you keep saying, like, okay, that's a nice model.
Yeah.
But then it actually comes to take place that they infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. And they didn't die with Red Skull. And it's like, my God, like, this is incredible. A lot of what Chris said, like, it's just like you feel helpless for Captain America because he's out of time. And while he was away, time passed him by. And now the guy who was the super soldier who could lead armies into battle is having to battle for himself,
right?
Which is an incredible turnaround. I really like bringing back Winter Soldier. That is also a gut punch because Steve Rogers' last memories of Bucky was doing something heroic. He's on the side of the train. He dies. He dies a hero, right? He dies in a heroic thing. No, he's come back as a brainwashed weapon for Hydra.
Oh.
Can you imagine? Like it's gut punch after gut punch. You know, his number one person who is Captain Carter is now an older lady. He's got to rely on Sharon Carter. And as we've come to find out, her loyalties are not necessarily what you think they are.
Oh, that Falcon show doesn't exist, but anyway.
I just think it was it is a really smart whodunit. There is no doubt in my mind they were swinging for the fences with Winter Soldier and they achieved it.
Damn.
It's hard for me to, like most other movies, I'd be like, I don't know. First Avenger's really good. I really like the story, but with Winter Soldier, I can't argue. It's Winter Soldier, hands down.
Okay. Say hi, Jordan, brother, man. Jordan has met Haley Atwell. He was so excited. He met.
Oh, man.
I love Haley Atwell. She's awful looking. She doesn't look at all anything like in the movie. She's terrible. That's all makeup.
Yeah, sure.
Even my wife is like, "Whoa, she's really attractive." I'm like, really? I haven't noticed at all. Not at all. No, Jordan's like, she's the most beautiful girl ever. I was like, yeah, we know Jordan. Thanks. We've seen her. Okay, Classic Comics. All right, so Steve, your votes. So we got 2 votes for Winter Soldier. What is your thoughts? First Avenger or Winter Soldier for story only?
Was it me or Steve?
Classic Comics.
Okay.
You're up.
Okay, so story. So for the 2, I mean, I actually also have to lean Winter Soldier. I think that first of all, it's a more daring story because of the way they do sort of dismantle S.H.I.E.L.D., which was a significantly risky thing to do. Although at the same time, somehow Fury also shows up at the end of Age of Ultron with a helicarrier. So it's like, are they shut down or not? But some of that stuff, it helps sets up what happens later in the Black Widow movie, of course, because those files get out. and also sets up Civil War because, of course, that video footage, I believe that's where it originates from, that Zemo's able to use to turn Iron Man against them. But the big thing I think this movie does is I think it was the movie that made Captain America cool. Because before that, First Avenger's a fun movie, but it was also a bit, kind of cheesy. Let's face it, a little corny, and I don't mind at all. I like it, but I think for the average moviegoer, it was Captain America: Winter Soldier that kind of made the average person like Captain America, and made him seem like a character more, I don't know, maybe more accessible is the word. I don't know. Like you always hear talk about Superman and how do you make him relevant for modern audiences and stuff like that. And you could certainly make, before Winter Soldier, I had those thoughts about Captain America. Is this character going to work, for the average moviegoer? And I think that Winter Soldier was the movie that really sort of threaded that needle and made it work. And showed that you can do that, and that you can do it with Superman too, I'm sure. So I would have to lean to Winter Soldier for the story.
Okay. Geez, yeah, no, a lot of great points. Greymalkin, what do you think for the Winter Soldier or First Avenger for story only?
Oh, obviously Winter Soldier. Better story, better plot development. I mean, like you guys kind of said, like, First Avenger is good, but it's really a by the numbers type of movie. Like, what's going to happen. Everything is like, yeah, better story, better ending. Like, you feel like, I kind of feel like First Avenger was kind of like it's the thing that happens before the real movie starts.
Okay. It's like what, prologue? Prologue or whatever.
It's like
they do say the First Avenger.
Yeah, like it's like one of those cartoons you went to see. It's like you went to see a movie and they show like this, like,
I remember that
5-minute cartoon.
Yeah.
And then you get to the real movie. You're like, oh wow, that was nice. But let's get to the real thing. But yeah, Winter Soldier all day.
All right. Okay, yeah. So you guys, I mean, so I would rank them equal almost, but the edge is probably going to go to Winter Soldier for most of the points that everyone's already mentioned. I will say that even though the first Avenger is I don't want to say formulaic. I mean, it has to be. The story is formulaic, but the plot is interesting. So if you guys did your film courses, the plot is a little bit different. The story is the overall story versus the plot is exactly how do the things unfold within what you're watching. And the development of the character, which we'll get to in the characters section, so I won't spend time on that, is really cool. But I do think that Winter Soldier, I'm struggling to find any sort of weakness in the storyline of Winter Soldier to where I have to poke a hole of some kind, because to me these movies are very close and I need to poke holes. And if I can't poke a hole, that's getting my vote. It's almost as simple as that, but obviously more complex than that, as you guys have all
Winter Soldier is the Dark Knight of the Captain America trilogy.
Yeah, this is the I mean, well, actually it is in the structure of how those movies were done, but and actually Captain America was done in a smart way, because them doing it this way was really cool, because you did get a feel for, we'll get this into the characters, but you got a feel for the Captain America world, and then it's all stripped away. And all of a sudden, that first movie, as you said, Gray, it is a prologue. It's an important prologue, because once that character is firmly developed, you've now moved him, right? So Chris, just as you said, and Steve, just as you said, with the certain gut punches. I obviously we know Bucky's the bad, right? We're like that. That's I forgot. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about Shield, because if you think he's been now with Shield this whole time, and I don't want to say I don't want to get into a political debate, but the government was maybe more in the right in the 40s than they were more in the right in later times.
Agreed.
Right. So without getting political, and we're the top row's Canadian, so we don't care about your American crummy politics. No, but yeah, I know, but honestly, so having Captain America being tested in that way is pretty neat. So yeah, let's give it to Winter Soldier. So that's a clear win for Winter Soldier. So let's move on to pacing.
I do want to say, sorry, Jay, that I if we're going to talk story, I did find refreshing that the whole origin story of Steve, even to the point where he was, doing that Broadway representation, that it was true to the character's roots in the comics. They didn't bastardize the origin story of Captain America, because we've seen movies where they just twist characters, and you're like, I get the suit looks the same, but my God, what are we talking about here? So I really enjoyed the fact they didn't bastardize Cap's story. It was true to the timely stories that we've all heard about and read about and everything, and right up to the moment where he wakes up and realizes that the game he's listening to, he was at.
That was good. Yeah. And just a bunch of people just popped in the viewers. So just let everybody know. No, but I think I speak for everybody. Everyone likes both movies. We're gonna have to be super critical because there's no other way to get around it. This isn't two movies where we're not doing. Everyone hates Wonder Woman 84. We're not doing Wonder Woman 1 versus 84, where everyone's just gonna trash it. It's like these are very good films, so we have to poke holes where we can, and we're gonna be nitpicky. It could get down to, I thought Captain America's hair looked better in this movie, so I'm picking that.
He's a handsome devil.
He is. America's ass. That was the best. That's America's ass. Was the funniest.
Oh no! Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah. Go ahead.
First Avenger was kind of going off the momentum that Iron Man, the Phase 1 was going off of. So we gotta remember, this is the last movie we had before we got Avengers, and I feel like Winter Soldier. You can watch Winter Soldier by itself and not have seen anything else.
Yeah, I think that's why that spoke to audiences.
But I would say that the difference between Captain America and all the guys who came before then is, and I don't want to tip my hand on characters, but if you look at all of the three movies that came out before then, Iron Man, Tony Stark was a narcissistic, self-indulgent jerk who had to learn how to be a hero. The Hulk isn't really even a hero, in my opinion. He's just he's more of a middle character. That's why Grey Hulk works so well because
one's intentional, one's not.
And then in Thor's movie, Thor is again banished. He's a selfish, blah 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 blah, da da da. He's got to learn to be a hero. He's always been a hero, but he has to learn how to really be a hero. Steve Rogers and Captain America: The First Avenger.
That was awesome.
He's a hero before he becomes.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that's why it was a refreshing take, because everyone else was, I have to learn how to be a hero, or I'm not really a hero, blah blah. And Captain America was like, Steve Rogers was a hero.
Before the
experiment, and we're gonna heavy hit on the characters on that at that point too. Yeah. So for pacing, let me explain how this actually works. Pacing does not mean runtime. Okay, it doesn't mean this movie's shorter, so it's automatically better. Pacing means that if the pacing needs to be 2 hours, then it's 2 quality hours. If it needs to be 2.5 hours because the story's a little bit more open or there's more to discuss, then it's 2.5 hours. So the way I think of it is that, did I need to remove any scenes from either of these movies? And would they still play the same if I remove scenes, which means that one of them could have been better paced? Or even, did I need to add perhaps some scenes to make the story better? Because sometimes you watch a movie, you're like, well, that was kind of short. And you're like, well, this character, what was this character's purpose? Oh, well, there was this scene that was 10 minutes longer that explained this character. Oh, that was cut. It's like, oh. So it doesn't mean if the movie's shorter, that wins automatically. I hate to do this to everybody, but I might be a dick on this category too, because I'm not really sure. I'm never being a dick is making everyone else go before me. But I don't know. I'm torn on this one too. I think both movies have really good pacing. Is there anyone on the panel that has a for sure answer in their mind of which pacing is better? Gray, go for it. Which one has better pacing in your mind?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Okay.
I felt like First Avenger kind of relied on like old 40s trope, you know, like get the montage. Like there were a few parts like that were, you know, kind of boring. Like really, honestly, most of the Red Skull stuff, it's really over the top. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But with Winter Soldier, it's just I don't think that there's little to no fat in this. Everything works.
Okay.
Like even that one mall scene where Black Widow was just telling Captain America, okay, do this. People don't like that. Don't do that. Like it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some room to there. You can trim some of First Avenger and not lose any of the essence of the film or whatever. Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to address this, dude. Oh my God. Stop it. I put
He's
Crow
never
back
going to
in
let you forget that.
He's not going to let me forget this Crow thing.
Crow killer.
Never going to let you.
It's never going to end.
Twice.
I did not kill. First of all, I bought Crawl. I had it on VHS. I had it on DVD, then Blu-ray. I had a shirt of Crawl. It was the first shirt I ordered off the internet when you could order shirts of weird movies. I like You're the Hunter from the Future better. That's it. There's nothing to kill Crawl over. Okay, we did a space opera versus where we had all these space kind of movies. We had Space Hunter, Galaxina, Star Crash, and all these. And Crawl lost, and then it lost. I don't know what to tell you. It was a fair fight. We do it like we're doing it now. Okay. Who else has got Classic Comics? What do you think? Do you have a winner for pacing in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would go with Winter Soldier. I think that the first movie, origin films tend kind of by necessity to be a bit slower. Right. Because you've got to introduce the characters, sort of let you get to know them, and then get to the event that makes them a hero, whatever, before you really even get into the main story. So I think...
Don't forget the love interest.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah, introduce the love interest. And... You know, the Captain America, the first Avenger definitely kind of follows that. And then plus you've got the whole thing of after he becomes Captain America, they ship him off to be in this Broadway thing, you know, and I like that. It's fun, but at the same time, you probably could have cut that out and just kind of skipped that. Mm-hmm. And whereas with Winter Soldier, you know, you've already got the character established and the villains, Hydra, are already known to you. So that movie does a much better job of kind of hitting the ground running. I would compare it to, say, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. You know, look at that and then look at Spider-Man 2, you know, and which one has the better pacing. Right. Or even Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So I would say that Winter Soldier definitely has the better pacing of the two.
Okay. Actually, Classic Comics, if I may, it kind of say like, all right, it's the second movie in a trilogy, so I feel like the middle movie always easier time because we don't need to do all that origin stuff. We just like jump into the action,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I think that's why they are a bit more fun, but I think we need some of that. And like, there's some elements in Avenger that you essentially need. You need to show that he was puny. You need to show that he was going to be used as a prop by the government. Come on.
Yeah. See, I can't cut some of those scenes. That's that's the other thing.
To sell war bonds.
Yeah, like I mean, come on, like the government injects you with a strange serum. They're not going to put you in the military right away. They're going to use you as a prop. You're a propaganda machine, which Captain America was so it was a nice little like nod, like, hey,
it's tough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay. So we got 2 for Winter Soldier. Chris, what are your? This is tough because you can't cut some of those scenes, right? That's the other thing. Well, Chris, what do you think?
I've like with Gray and Classic, I got to lean more towards the Winter Soldier, but I feel like I'm a little bit closer between the two than my 2 other panelists that went before me. I enjoyed the pacing of the first Avenger Now, again, I realize that it's an origin story and that we have to go through the particular three acts that we have to get to the big conclusion, the big showdown, the big boss. I get that. But the part that I did enjoy was the nostalgia factor of it, that they did the tropes. I enjoyed the fact that they played into that in the storyline, but not necessarily the character himself. That was just the film and its gravitas that people were looking at. So that part I enjoyed with the pacing. However, the one thing we haven't talked about right off the bat with the Winter Soldier was Nick Fury getting attacked in the streets of Washington, D.C., and that all-out battle. And that Nick Fury was handling himself. He was handling himself inside of his GMC.
Yeah.
Until the soldier showed up, and holy crap, things went sideways. And thank God he got to cut the hole in the floor. And just when you think the next scene is going to be slowing down, where Steve gets to have a chat with Agent 13, Nick Fury dies.
Right.
I thought the pacing, it's pedal to the metal the entire time. It's action scene after action scene after action scene. Even when you have those quiet moments where he's having a conversation with Widow, things go sideways in the middle at the end of that scene. I thought the Russo brothers handled the pacing beautifully. Now, again, I'm not going to say that it's light years ahead of each other, because I really feel that both these films for pacing, and that's what we're talking about here, is very close. But right off the bat with that Nick Fury scene, and then the fact the Russo brothers did not tap that brake pedal at all, I thought it was just it's clear cut, but it's close to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Real quick. Can we talk about the one scene right before it happened, where the cops next to Nick Fury?
Yes.
And he's like, "You want to see my papers?" Also Robert Redford as the villain.
We'll get the characters. Hold it. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I'm sorry. I didn't see it coming at first. I'm like, bro.
Yeah. All right. If I was actually rating these films and assigning numerical values, I'd probably give the pacing the same amount, because I like the slower pacing of part one, because I want to get to know Steve. I love him going through the training, the jumping on the bomb and all that. And I like building up that foundation. And yes, it's a little long, but building it up is important. I'll just continue, and then Steve, you can go last on this one. I'm probably still gonna say Winter Soldier as well, but I'm super close. Like, I would, if I could cop out and say tie, I would cop out and just say a tie. I don't want to cop out. I hate that, and I've allowed it on some time. So I have allowed it on some versus streams, because if it's so close. But Winter Soldier, once it just starts, and you're like, okay, like it's just going. Like, I'm struggling to find a better paced film in any of the MCU movies. Winter Soldier might be the best pacing out of all the films, all of them, all the MCU movies, maybe all of the recent superhero films. First Avenger's up there too, because once you learn about Cap, he does his little montage of being a government stooge, and then it's right back into getting into the story.
And it's the war.
I'm gonna lean over to Winter Soldier, but I want to almost pull First Avenger with me. Steve, what are your thoughts on the pacing?
This is the hardest one.
It's hard, I know.
I would give them both 2 out of 2 for pacing.
Me too.
I'm not going to break from the crowd on this one. I'm going to say Winter Soldier. It's really difficult to not even, I wouldn't even argue against you guys, but it would be hard not to acknowledge everything. I will say that for First Avenger, it's extremely hard to make an interesting origin story generally. Right. It can be done. And the MCU has done a pretty good job with a few of them. Yeah. But Winter Soldier is just breakneck right off the bat. He's jumping out of an airplane without a parachute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so awesome. And I feel like everything is there for a reason. Not to say that First Avenger isn't, but I do agree that there is some repetition that's like, okay, I did get it. I did get it. It's very, very, very thin though for me. Both these movies are terrific. It's inarguable. But I'll say Winter Soldier as well.
Okay, yeah. I probably would have, if I was doing this, I would have tied on story, tied on pacing, just in general. But okay, so artistry. So artistry means several things. It's going to be obviously the look of the movie, the score. You can talk about costuming, anything that's like visual, audio, that kind of a thing. So not the characters. Like you might think, this character didn't do anything, but like he looked cool, right? Like, or whatever, so just the look, the tone, the feel, sort of the way the action is shot. I would say that both these movies are really good. They're shot well. We don't have that stupid, I hate the Bourne, whichever that Bourne movie, the third one, or where you can't even see what's happening. It's like this. And I'm like, it's like, why can't I see? Yeah, and the first one seemed somewhat normal, and then I saw the second one or third. I'm like, I literally can't see what's happening in this one. Why did they even shoot it?
You're watching Blair Witch.
Oh God, don't start me on that boring fest. I saw that in the theater. I'm like, the kid standing in the corner at the end. Who cares? I'm like, the Blair Witch. I'd kick the crap out of that Blair Witch. Come Blair Witch. I'd kick the crap out of her. She's a loser.
You're rooting for the kids to die.
I was rooting for them to die instantaneously. They didn't die fast enough. That's why I didn't like that movie. They should have had Jason Voorhees come in. Okay, so artistry. Let's go. Steve, why don't you start with artistry? What do you think was better? So, I know they're both like
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, all
bigger
right.
movie.
Yeah,
got the huge the ships.
Yeah.
It's just really shot well. It's just everything looks awesome.
Yeah.
In First Avenger looks awesome too. The period style. I was like period style.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't the craziest for his outfit when he was doing the missions. But I don't dislike it. It's just that if you're asking me, like, it's got to be nitpick at this point because both these movies are terrific. I preferred the look of the costume in the second one, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like the Winter Soldier looks awesome, but so's Red Skull. I don't know, man. Like
Red Skull looks pretty good too. Like
second one because of the scope of the movie, and it really delivered on all facets. And I gotta reward them for doing that. The first movie was a little bit smaller, a little more like self-contained. They didn't go like huge until the very end with the ship and the cosmic cube, but consistently throughout Winter Soldier aimed to impress. The attack that Chris mentioned, like Nick Fury being taken on, and he's got all those gadgets in the car, and it's like everything's on display. They had to be on their game more consistently in Winter Soldier, and I felt they needed to be in more of a character-driven movie, which is First Avenger.
Okay. Yep. Okay. No, that's good points. Chris, what are your thoughts on the artistry?
Oh man.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is why we're doing this one. This is tough. This is a tough one.
It's tough for me to ignore the First Avenger because it's represents itself as a period piece. You get a lot of these movies where modern day film directors will just sepia tone the whole thing,
right?
They'll color it. Everything is blue, or if it's the Matrix, everything will have a green tinge. The First Avenger didn't do that. Right. It lent itself to certain lighting. It lent itself to shading, and it lent itself to color scheme on the walls and stuff. Like everything worked out well. So beautifully, it looked well. I almost thought that maybe they used different type of cameras. Like they didn't necessarily go out and go IMAX with certain scenes. That certain things may have been dialed back to like a 16 mil or 64 mil, something that would, something that's not used every day when it comes to blockbuster type of big budget films. But I can't discount what the Russo brothers did. The Russo brothers then all of a sudden took CGI to the next level and brought that into the forefront of what the MCU can actually produce. Like, you really believe there was 2 helicarriers over Washington D.C. Like, there was never a doubt when that helicarrier hit the water, you thought that people were going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I am sorry, but I'm gonna have to go against Steven here. I just got to give respect to the first director and how they made the first Avenger look like he really was in the 40s. And I didn't think at one point that he was on a stage somewhere like the Wizard of Oz kind of thing where you have painted background.
Right.
I legitimately thought, like, especially when he went to war, my God, it looks fantastic. And they didn't just brown out or gray out, the viciousness and the cruelness of the Second World War. It looked legit. And then when him and the Howling Commandos kicked open those doors and they all came in guns ablazing, like, the color schemes changed and the lighting changed. It wasn't just the same dull textures and everything. They walked into a well-lit factory, a well-lit warehouse, and they just opened fired. And then the final scene of Steve in the air and, it realizing the time of the day and that the sun was setting and the colors worked properly there. And inside the airplane, things were starting to get darker and darker for Steve. That kind of thing wasn't lost on me. But I'm telling you, this is even tighter for me than the last category. But I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I got to go with the first Avenger just because of the artistry that the first director delivered for that movie.
Yeah. I'm a super sucker for 40s stuff. Like, it's like if a movie's in the 40s, there's like a 90% chance I'm gonna like it. We watch classic movies like all day. I have at least 200 or 300 classic movies, black and white movies, and it looks great in black and white. I just love anything in that era. Like, if I have to do a superhero movie, I'm doing Spy Smasher in the 40s. That would be the movie I would make. Because firstly, nobody has that much of attachment to that character, so I wouldn't disappoint people and there wouldn't be arguments of what, you ruined my character. So that's one thing. But anyways, okay, so classic comics, what do you think's better for the artistry, first or Winter Soldier?
So I think, honestly, my thoughts are going to be pretty similar, I think, to Chris. I thought they did such a great job establishing, kind of the 40s setting. In fact, I kind of wish they had stayed there longer. I wouldn't have minded seeing another movie or two set there. I understand why they ended it and brought him forward and all, but
right.
But it would have been fun seeing him fight, some other villains in that period. It kind of depends on how we're defining artistry, but if we're talking about the overall look, I don't know. I do think that in the first movie, because there was so much happening outdoors, it was less entirely on sets. There was more natural lighting, whereas I don't know. I guess they do have those fight sequences outside. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I would lean to Winter Soldier, but it's tough. It's tough to really pick one. I think that the action sequences are definitely better in the second film.
Right.
And they're just kind of faster and tighter. The whole movie's tighter, I think, just as far as what we talked about earlier with the pacing and the action, and the script is, I think, a bit better too. So I would probably lean towards Winter Soldier on that one.
So you think Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Okay. Greymalkin, what are your thoughts?
I feel like we're talking about two different movies because
that's why it's tough.
yeah. Like, the first Avenger is like a fantasy event, action fantasy movie. Whereas Winter Soldier, it's more like a hardcore action, like, spy movie. So, looking at that, I don't know. I'm like the first Avenger looks a bit more warmer. It was like, it's good. Like, it's a period piece. It makes you feel like you're there. Winter Soldier, it's a bit more grittier. You feel like, there were like little things in there. Like, there are like little things in Winter Soldier that made, like, that was a little unique. Like, like when Winter Soldier was fighting. There's one part where he had the knife and he dropped it, caught it to try to go for it again.
Right.
Like those little the action sequences were really cool. I'm getting into Winter Soldier.
All right, Greymalkin. Okay, I'm. Oh man, look. So when I get to it, so for my vote, when I get to an impasse like this, where they're both amazing for what they are, they're different kinds of movies. I go with what I just like seeing better, and that's period stuff. I'm gonna go with the first Avenger. It's as simple as that. I'm not even gonna, like Chris has already mentioned all of the points that I would have mentioned. I agree with everything he said. I agree with the other panelists on Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's like effing awesome. Like, you watch that movie, we walked out of that theater and we're like fucking high-fiving each other. Like, I can't believe we just watched this movie. And it's like not too, I think the last movie before that was maybe Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, where we walked out and thought, wow, that was awesome. It's like, I don't remember thinking like a sequel was this pumped ever. And it looked awesome, but man, I love my period stuff. I've been with classic comics. I could have seen 17 Captain America movies in the 40s. I would have been like, yeah, part 17. I can't believe it.
This vote was culturally biased.
No, I would still do it now, man. I'm good to have Chris Evans come back, do a period one. It's like, forget all this phase 4 horse crap. Let's get back to it. No, I don't know, man. The period stuff's awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to give it, like, basically Winter Soldier won in the numbers anyways for that category. But at first Avenger, I love Rocketeer, which is Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
I like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Any of those movies, I can't, like, even like if it's like
Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park 3, that's not a...
Yeah, that was him.
No, but that's not a period movie.
Oh, okay.
I do love Jurassic Park 3. I like Jurassic Park 3. You don't want to hear my Jurassic Park or ranking order because Part 3 is number 1. It's 80 minutes and it's all dinosaurs. It's like all the other movies pretend that they're like this thing. I'm like, I don't care. I want to see dinosaurs. Yeah, I'm going to give it to a first Avenger. All right. So let's move on to characters. Okay, so characters. This is tough now. Now, Steve, we got Steve in both. We've got Black Widow. We've got Agent Carter. We've got the villains, several, or Winter Soldier. Let's say Winter Soldier, Red Skull. We got Robert Redford. We got what's his face from Nick Fury. We've got I just blanked on Tommy Lee Jones. Whatever that character. So we got Howard Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So characters, we got. Oh, this is like. I mean, again, this is like I'm a broken record. It's tough. I'm gonna dick out again and let hear everyone else's points of view. I don't care. Listen, make your own channel, have a stream, and then you can force me to go first on your. it's like
exactly what's happening.
I'm acting like you don't want it. Don't act like you don't want the power.
No, I usually, and Steve can back me up on this. I will listen. I fight with everybody. Knows I will fight with people, and I like stuff that everyone hates. Like Hellraiser 3, we just talked about that on camera.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Well, everyone likes that though.
Really?
So that's
really?
not
Jay.
and people keep saying that. People keep saying that I like that movie. No, I love that movie. Let's get the terminology.
Oh boy. Intervention, okay? We're your friends. We love you.
I thank you.
Get off the drugs.
Listen, I'm allowed to like a bad movie.
Really?
Movies that some people think
Are you allowed to like Kevin Spacey movies? Still?
Look, listen, I'm a detach. I don't detacher. Is that a thing?
Only where he was the villain.
Right.
Like 7, where he gets it in the end.
Yeah, that was good. 7 was a good movie.
That was all his movies. Like
I am a detacher. I'm like, let me look at the screen, and then I can't go, and I also can't go back.
It's like, I still like Michael Jackson's music. Like, come on.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like going back to Jackson's song and like,
yeah.
Man, Joe was beating their asses during that.
No, look, everyone, I don't care who you are. People were tuning in for Michael Jackson when he was dropping his videos. That was like, people were tuning in. I remember my whole family got together to watch Black or White when that came out with the morphing technology and all that.
Yeah, that was dope.
So it's like, listen, I mean,
it was during the Super Bowl. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, I don't remember when they whatever, but we got together to be like, oh, we got to see that. Like he was spending money, like a lot of money to do these
Absolutely.
like videos, man. Like I don't know, I can't comment on something.
All right.
Yeah, well, I can't comment on something I really don't actually know about. So
no, but like once you find out all the stuff, now you can go back and like, oh God, this is terrible.
That sort of thing sort of destroys legacies and destroys people's like growing up watching that stuff. Like, and you sort of have to desensitize this. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, "Oh, you watch Tom Cruise movies? He's a Scientologist." I'm like,
right.
I'm not a Scientologist. I don't care. Like, I just want to watch.
I'm not Tom Cruise's friend.
You know, these guys want to tear down the idols, and I'm like, okay, well, that's only if you put them on the pedestal to begin with, which I don't. They're human beings. They make mistakes. That's it.
Yeah, just put me on a pedestal. That that's the only person that needs to go on one. All right, characters. Who knows? All right, Greymalkin. Since you spoke up, so now you're on the hot seat. You should have waited. Which movie has the better characters?
Winter Soldier. Hands down.
All right. Oh, hands down.
Hands down.
All right.
I mean, I'm not, and this is not a fault. I mean, actually, you can add Peggy Carter in Winter Soldier too. So that's a winner.
Oh, come on.
The only person who's going to win is Tommy Lee Jones. He knows what he did.
All right. That's a cheat code, but fine. She's in it.
Up, down, left, right.
Up to be.
Okay. Robert Redford as the villain, and you didn't know he was the villain. He seemed like he was a cool dude, and then to that kitchen scene, and he killed it. He was talking to the Winter Soldier, and then he killed his maid. He's like, I wish he would have knocked.
That was a very good moment for that character. That was ruthless, actually, and it's a little scary. I thought that it didn't creep me out because I watched the Terrifier movies. I'm not creeped out by anything, but it did. It was unsettling a bit. You're like, oh, but anyways, continue.
Yeah, like I mean, you saw Nick Fury as resourceful as he's ever been. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that great scene where he had to cut. He used a freaking laser. Let me see it again. A freaking laser to cut laser. To cut into the street. And also, honestly, I think this is where he got switched out with the alien. That's just me, because because remember, he supposedly died.
Right.
He supposedly died for a couple minutes. I think that's when they switched him out with the scroll. And there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and we know they weren't thinking that far ahead, so that could have just worked out in their favor. That scene happened. Okay, so you're saying Winter Soldier for characters. Now, before the next person goes, I just look. We're discussing characters. Just keep this in mind when you're discussing which movie has the better characters. I'm just this is not to sway anybody. I'm just
Fight Club.
Does anyone, Gray? Are you still saying that Winter's? I'm just posting a picture.
Wait! Give me one more time. More time. Oh, you bastard! Oh, you bastard! You got my eyes.
Oh boy.
Okay. That's
okay. Oh jeez. Okay, let me give you the Shockmaster here. Sorry, it's a wrestling thing. Okay.
Oh, Shockmaster.
All right. Okay. Classic comics. Classic comics. Which one had the better characters? Well, I could put a Scarlett Johansson picture up too to make it even. Sorry, classic comics. Which one do you think had the better characters?
Well, this is another tough one. Honestly, I have a hard time really choosing one. I mean, I guess I would lean Winter Soldier a little bit. And that's kind of for some of the smaller parts.
All right.
I did like that Powers Booth, he was one of the guys on that UN Council thing, which was sadly like one of his last roles.
Yeah.
Or what's her? Oh, Ginny Agger. She played the British woman, actually. You know, and it was cool seeing her again.
Logan's Run,
She's
man.
so fine.
Yeah, Logan's Run, American Werewolf in London.
Yep.
A few other things. So I mean, I guess I would lean that one towards Winter Soldier, but it's really kind of a toss-up, honestly, to me.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. It's like it's tough. This
You
is
need
again. This is very
actor.
tough.
Did
Sorry.
you ever see Walkabout? Do you ever see Walkabout?
Walkabout? No, I haven't seen that.
No, Ginny Agger's like naked the entire movie.
Oh my god, I'm watching it tonight.
What now?
What?
You do not know it? Walkabout. Ginny
Okay.
Agger.
All right. Everything I said about you, I take it all back, Gray.
I don't know.
I'm deleting all those tweets.
What? What do you mean? Wait, that was you?
Boom.
Boom.
All right. Let's go. Who hasn't gone last in a while? So let's go, Steve. Steve, you can go next.
First Avenger.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Very, 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 very close. What gets me over is Steve Rogers' performance, like Chris Evans, Steve Rogers before the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like bullies. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies. The fact that he kept signing up, even though he kept getting rejected, he just went to different enlistment offices.
Is that illegal now? Is that,
Yes,
illegal?
I would. That would be illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Sorry.
Climbing the flagpole. Not
Yeah.
everyone climbing the flagpole. He takes it out,
Yeah.
shows his intelligence.
Yeah.
I'm just 100% behind Steve Rogers. I'm behind him in Winter Soldier 2.
Right.
But it's a treat to see him start out that way. I love Peggy Carter because she loved Steve Rogers before the experiment. She loves him even before then, I think. And that's how I really feel about it. I think that she loves the man before, and little moment, I love her reaching out and touching his pecs when, exactly, Chris. I love that.
He didn't get a chance to go. He
I love Tommy Lee Jones.
She was thirsty.
I love Tommy Lee Jones. I love the fact he comes in to interrogate Zola, and he says, "Oh, I got you a steak." He's like, "Oh, I don't eat meat." So he's like, "Okay," and he starts eating the entire meal in front of him while interrogating him. I love that.
That was great.
Red Skull is good. I will never say anything bad against Hugo Weaving. Winter Soldier is terrific. Like, I honestly think this is Scarlett Johansson's best turn as Black Widow, in my personal opinion.
I agree with that.
Robert Redford is terrific as always, and casting him, in a sort of like a throwback to that 70s paranoia thriller actioner is genius. I love Falcon. Falcon is like the unsung hero of Winter Soldier.
Right.
Yeah. Bucky, like Sebastian Stan was terrific as the Winter Soldier. There's zero complaints on character. Again, this would be, if I was doing a rank out, two, both would get a 2. You're asking me which one I like a little bit better. I like First Avenger a little bit better.
Oh, you just Falcon, man, that guy was fucking so good.
Are you saying
I don't know.
That one girl from Game of Thrones was in the movie too?
Yes, she was, and the Doctor's companion, Jenna Coleman.
Yeah.
Yes, she's in there.
Yeah.
Clara Oswald.
There was a lot of Doctor Who, like a lot of British actors.
Because Doctor Who is the greatest thing ever made. That's why.
Well, they filmed it over in London, I think, or over in
they did.
England.
That's interesting.
At least part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got me and Chris left. Let's go. All right, Chris, I'll take the last one. You can go next.
Sure. I've honestly, I've been flipping back and forth. I gotta say, it was quite the coup for the MCU to get Hugo Weaving to sign up, even if it was just one film, because the Red Skull incarnations that we've had afterwards now in Infinity War and Endgame was not Hugo Weaving, as we know. And that was quite the coup because, like, we're talking about Agent Smith here. We're talking about V for Vendetta, obviously Lord of the Rings. He's a powerhouse actor. But if you want to talk coup, it starts and stops with the fact they got Robert Redford,
Right?
And they got him for a cameo one more time after. The character development in the first one, obviously, like I said, like they try to stay true to the origin story in the comics, but there's still character development with Cap, where he's now taking off the glasses and he's seeing the modern world for what it is, and the betrayal of the government to him, and the infiltration of Hydra in there, and then the on your right, or pardon me, on your
on your left,
on your left. And you have those fun moments where there's character development, and then you get to go see Cap, go join PTSD meetings, and sit down with modern day soldiers and hear those heroes' tales and stuff. So we're talking like what your poll was by a hair. I gotta go the Winter Soldier by a hair, just because there was a lot more characters, and they kind of grew in the film, including the Winter Soldier himself. We got to see Nick Fury realize that he was getting screwed over just as much as what Steve Rogers was, if not more.
Right.
And, we got to see Crossbones develop, come out of nowhere as well in this movie. And yeah, I get that fact that it's a larger cast, but it's not lost on me, the first Avenger and the characters that are in there, because like Haley Atwell owns my heart too. I gotta be honest. There's a picture. I don't know what. There's a picture of her in the backseat of a car with a blinder hat, like a bowling cap on, with a pair of suspenders. Yeah. Oh my goodness! 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can we also talk about what those little character beats we be seeing? Captain America opened that one book, the little notebook he had. He had like all that list of stuff, like Steve Jobs, Star Wars, Star Trek. Are they the same thing?
All the things.
Did you know that was different in every country?
Really?
Yeah,
you can look it up, and
is cultural references to every major jurisdiction on the planet that the film was being showed in.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
See, now I want to see it.
I'm sure it'll be like Godzilla, like Lone Wolf.
The European version,
the European, whatever. Yeah, so
Berlin Wall.
Again,
but that was good. Berlin Wall up and down.
Right.
That was interesting.
Stalin.
But just to touch on it, this was a struggle. Like listening to all of your cases, minus Jay, on this particular category, like what Steve said and what Classic and Gray have said, like I kind of went back and forth. But when I think about Robert Redford and the fact that they got this actor to play this character, and it was only just those first few moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's Robert Redford. After that, I was like, this guy is a villain, man. He just smoked the lady taking care of his home. Like, come on. I get that it was just a part of pacing in the plot of the film. They had to make him look bad. But dude, was cold, man. Just cold. He could have as soon as she turned away, clip. No, he was just like, now you've seen me, you've seen him. It's gotta happen. Yeah, it was again, this movie separates itself from just, in my opinion, from being a superhero movie. It's a classic spy action movie that, similar to All the President's Men, like these political thrillers. It just happens to have comic book characters in it.
Right.
And Cap's suit, by the way, is the best suit. Is the Winter Soldier suit that he wears in that movie.
That's true. That is true.
All right.
Okay. Maid, though, is there a way that May could have lived like if she had just had her eyes closed, like, oh no, I ain't seen nothing. I don't even know.
No, she's toast.
No,
I did think. Okay, so I did think. Yeah, I thought that was very that was very like unsettling. Like I'm not unsettled, obviously. I watch horror movies and all this crap, so I don't get. But I was just like, oh man, it's like, man, screw you, buddy. Like the scene did its job, because I was like, Robert Redford, F you. That was a dick move right there. And you can't get angry at the Winter Soldier because he's brainwashed. Plus, he looks badass. So you're like, yeah, this guy just looks. It's like Darth Vader. You're like, yeah, he just looks cool. It's like the Emperor's kind of a dick, because he's like this like decrepit old guy who's like running everything. You're like, screw you, buddy. But like Darth Vader just looks cool even though he's a villain. Same with Winter Soldier. I'm like, you can't get mad at Winter Soldier. He's badass. But Robert Redford's a bastard. But damn, man, I don't know. I really like the thing with Steve Rogers is that I like in the first. Well, he is a bastard. I started reading Bastard the manga, so I had the word bastard in my head. That's a great manga if you haven't read it, and there's an anime on it too. But the thing is like I would say this for Steve Rogers and for Diana in Wonder Woman Part 1, Patty Jenkins Part 1, where in the first like 10 minutes of that character, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with you. Like when she's a little girl running around saying, I want to help people and do stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with this character. Steve Rogers, 10 minutes in, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome. I love Steve Rogers. And it's very hard to do that. You have to have good writing, good acting. It's a combination of everything coming together in just one or two scenes. Like as Steve was saying, he keeps re-enlisting, and like, yeah, I could do this all day. I don't like that they turned that into a silly joke in that garbage, whichever show it was that had that. I understand they were trying to make it funny, but no. I liked all that stuff. I like I don't want to kill Nazis. I don't like bullies. I'm not here to like murder people. All that was good. The flagpole thing, the jumping, and Winter Soldier has more characters, and every character is amazing. And Winter Soldier is the argument against, well, if you have too many characters, you can't do it. Right? Well, okay, Winter Soldier had a shit ton. We talked about them all. And then it's like, oh yeah, Falcon, he's in that. And he was the damn best in that. I thought Falcon was bloody awesome. That Anthony Mackie, I saw that guy talk in an interview. It's like, oh, this guy's the fucking best. It's like Falcon. I was like, oh hell yes. Like it's like this guy's. He's like, I do whatever he does, just a little slower. I'm like, great line. I love that. I love that. Scarlett Johansson. This was her best thing. I thought she was irritating as shit in that Iron Man 2. I couldn't stand her and Pepper Potts. Just they look good, but just them talking, I was like, no. Because in this movie she's a character. She's like doing stuff. Right. Steve knows this terminology that I always use. These are what I call real movies. And what I mean by a real movie is like there's no stupid shit going on. It's like someone's like, look, we're going to make this Captain America movie. And someone's like, well, why don't we add this dumb thing? No, we're not adding that dumb thing. We're going to make a real movie. We're making a real movie about Captain America. We're not doing stupid shit. We're not going to have a bunch of dumb comedy that's throwaway garbage, stupid lines and whatever. We want to make a real movie that someone can watch, be like, yeah, when you walk out of Captain America Winter Soldier or First Avenger, you want to buy Captain America toys. You want to buy Captain America comics. You want to buy a shield. Every kid had a shield. Every man had a shield. Forget about little kids having shields. After that, every damn YouTuber's like, oh, I got a shield. Professor Bill, who couldn't make it tonight, he bought a shield. It's like,
we've seen it.
We've seen it. It's like, dude, right? This is, and it all comes from the characters. Story is important, but the characters are the most, because that's who you're going to cosplay as. That's the figures you're buying. You're not buying a figure of a cool spy thriller. You're buying a figure of Winter Soldier, and you're going to get Captain America, and they're going to fight each other. That's what kids are going to do. Characters are super important, and I think because the first Avenger laid the groundwork for that, I'm going to go with that. Plus Haley Atwell. I love Agent Carter. When they were going to do the TV show, I was like, oh, why are they doing a show on Agent Carter? This is pointless. And I'm like, I kind of like this show. She's I don't know. I really like the show. She, to me, is so good. And she's a serious character. And they want to do the women thing. This was the movie to do it in, because this makes sense in this movie. It's like she was awesome. And yeah, every character in Winter Soldier is awesome. And like, there's not even one bad character. It's not even like where you're watching, well, I don't want to mention Turtles because they're all shitty, but what's the one? There's just a few movies where, like, let's say Iron Man 2, you're like, I don't like Pepper Potts, she's irritating, or what. There's a few characters like this characters kind of can go, but no one can go in Winter Soldier. They all have something to do. They all have a purpose. They're not just there they're not there for a cameo for a solo movie later. Right? Even with later on, they start to introduce characters just to be in it so that they can then have their own movie. It's like, well, this character doesn't need to be in this movie, but in Winter Soldier, every character really did need to be in the movie. I forgot, man, or not forgot. I got nailed when Scarlett Johansson was faking, like when she was, I was like, oh, that was so good. I was like, I didn't catch that. And I'm like, really? How did I not catch it? I was so involved in the story that I like, you know what I'm saying, Steve? It's like, we patch this all the time. I'm the master predictor of every, I'm like, yeah, here's what's going to happen. This is going to happen. And I was like, that got me. She's like, oh, that was so good. I like that. So anyways, but I'm going to give it to First Avenger only because it's part 1. And they got me so pumped for Steve Rogers that he instantaneously became my favorite MCU character, and he remained that.
Yeah.
For this day, he is the absolute best realized. I love I love every costume he's had. Most relatable because we got to know him as a character before he had the powers, and we fell in love with that character. So when he got the powers, it was just extra. It was like, wow, now he's got the powers. I love the costume in part 1. I like the shield outfit, the covert shield outfit that he had when he fought Batroc, who was kind of cool too. That was a great way to do Batroc, really. But I like that costume. But then I also like going back to get the old costume. I do like the Avengers costume. I like every Captain America costume that he's had. I just love that outfit. I'd be good with this when US Agent gets this. So yeah, I'm gonna go with part 1. All right, guys. This is go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is like just Winter Soldier is just so. It's I don't know. I just really like this movie. Actually, when we're done, because like, come on, man. Like there was no. I'm sorry.
No, you can. You know what? You can start the next category. Okay, so the last category is a freebie. So the way I do my rating system is I give everything between 0 and 2. So I would have given both movies like basically a 10 out of 10. I would give them both 10 out of 10 for what they are because I compared them to other superhero movies. I don't compare them to Lawrence of Arabia or Ben-Hur, which are, I compare them to themselves. So they're 10 out of 10 because when you think in your mind, I always say this, think in your mind of a Captain America movie. Okay, you got one in your mind. Now you've watched this movie. Did that satisfy what you wanted? And I would say, yes, both movies satisfied what I wanted out of a Captain America movie and a sequel. That's how I look at it. If it doesn't satisfy me in some way, I ding it on points in my rating system. But the final category is what I call enjoyment. This category is a free-for-all because sometimes you might get a movie like you'd be like, the story was okay. It's a 1. I give it a 1 out of a 2. I give it an average. The pacing was okay, 1.5. Artistry was 1. Maybe a movie's at like a 5 out of 10, but you really like it. Like maybe the story wasn't that good. So I would give it 2 points for enjoyment because I happen to really enjoy the movie because there is something intangible about movies that can't be mathematically broken down into 0.5 increments, right? So the enjoyment category, I just say, I really like this movie anyway. I'm giving it a 2. And I think about it like, did I like the movie? Would I watch it again? Would I recommend to my friend to watch it? Would I buy the movie on physical media? That's the way I think about it. If it's yes to all of that, I give it a 2 out of 2. Obviously, both these movies are 2 out of 2, so they're tied. For the verses, you could just say, I know they're both tied or whatever, but I like this one more because I just like it more. You don't need to give a reason. You can give a reason. You could just say, I like Winter Soldier more because I just like it more, and that's just how I feel it speaks to me more. So for this one, I don't know. I'm going to be an ass again. I'm going to wait because I like them both. I think I might like First Avenger a bit more because it was part 1 and I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. And I really like Captain America. And I thought, if this sucks, I'm going to be really disappointed. And it was so good. And then I had more confidence going into Winter Soldier thinking, okay, the first movie is really good. Now we can get on with it and see what happens. And it went higher. I think maybe Winter Soldier is better. Winter Soldier is better, but I think I still like First Avenger more. But I would say that these 2 movies with Avengers Part 1 and maybe like Guardians of the Galaxy are like kind of my favorite Marvel movies if I was really thinking about it. So I'll go first this time. I won't cop out. I'm going to say that I like First Avenger more. And it's as simple as it was the first one. I was nervous and I was so happy with it. That it's as simple as that. There's no J-Man nerdy things. That's it. I just kind of liked it more. Plus, I liked Haley Atwell. I felt bad. The dance thing got me. I don't know. It got look. I never get emotional. I have zero emotions. Everybody knows it's like I watched Terrifier 2. I thought it was a comedy. It was great. I've seen it 3 times. I'm like, this is a great movie. I love all these people getting killed in horrific ways that people can't watch and throw up in the theater. And I'm like, this is a great movie. I have zero emotion. It got me. The dance and all that. It's like, oh, save me the dances. I liked it. I felt bad. So it got a feeling out of me. You know, sorry.
A true serial killer.
I'm a true. You're right. Yeah, I do eat a lot of cereal. All right, so I'm saying the first Avenger, just cause. Steve, what do you think, man? Which one do you like better? You're allowed to say Winter Soldier. We're still gonna go see Ant-Man
10 out of 10. I legit struggle to find fault with either movie. I legit struggle to find fault with either movie. I'm never gonna. Of any of the Marvel things that I dislike, this is not. These two are definitely not there. They're definitely top 5, top 10, like whatever you want to say. I would say First Avenger only because I heavily invest in the Steve Rogers character, and he gets to fulfill his dream, which is awesome. He gets to fulfill his dream, and I am a sucker for sentimental movies. I love to see, if I'm behind you, I don't care if it's cliche. I want to see you win. I want to see you save the day, get the girl, whatever. And I felt like that with First Avenger. I did find it a little bit sad at the end when he said, I was supposed to, have a, meet a girl for a date, or
man.
And it's just but he still, died. He didn't die, but he still went down doing what he loved, which was serving his country and saving his country and saving, doing that. And I'm behind that 100%. Winter Soldier is a terrific film. It is damn near, if you're critically breaking it down, it's flawless.
Right.
But it is, and I know, Gray, you called it The Dark Knight. I consider it The Empire Strikes Back of the series.
Very nice. I like
the villain, because the hero turns up in a less place than he started out. Like, it's a betrayal,
right.
And betrayal. Like, everything he knew and everything he fought for and everything that he struggled to overcome got taken away in his absence. And to me, that is devastating, heartbreaking. This is the most heartbreaking of the MCU movies. It's a testament that they had the balls to do this. This and Infinity War are the two ballsiest MCU movies, hands down.
Yeah.
But I really like seeing Steve Rogers doing what he loves and going down doing that. The gut punches, they're terrific, but after the first film, I don't want to see Steve Rogers gut punched, to be honest with you. I want to see him succeed. And kudos to the Winter Soldier for not letting him completely succeed. He succeeded somewhat. He still saved the day. This is the turn of the Winter Soldier away from his programming. All of that is great, but I'm with the guy who took the pin out of the flagpole and jumped on the grenade.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's super fair. You could say there's no whatever you could say for whatever reason. You could literally say, "Hey, well, I'm done." And then and you'd be like, "Oh, that's
show the picture again."
This is a freebie category. That's also why it's last. Chris, let's just go with you. Which one do you like better?
I kind of feel like Steve stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to say for me, it comes down to two things. I think I've seen the first Avenger 4 times. I think I've seen the Winter Soldier 24 times.
Right.
And that's not an exaggeration. For me, it's not only is it the Winter Soldier. To me, the Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie, period. It's number 1 on my list. And I get that we've had bigger ensemble movies, like Steve just said. The Infinity War was just something that just blew the mind of every comic book. They wiped out their franchise character. We finally got Spider-Man, then they killed him off.
Right.
Yeah.
That is one of the most shocking things I've seen in a comic book movie. But what it comes down to is a story of love, story between two men that grew up with each other, and that Steve realizes that he's not dead. Here he is, but this is not the man that the world should know, but this is the man the world looks at in the wrong way because of what's happened to him. To me, Steve finishes this film with less than what he started it with. He's now absent of his country. He's now absent of S.H.I.E.L.D., who was housing him and was giving him a home and he was a part of a team with. That's now gone, and he doesn't trust a single person on the planet outside of the Winter Soldier, and he can't really trust him either. So that's why I feel I have to go with the Winter Soldier. It's as perfect as what a Captain America movie should be, where Captain America is in the forefront, but there's so many excellent characters surrounding him, making him even better.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Yeah.
I'll let Classic go in just a second. I just want to interject because I just thought of something. This is one of the movies where the main person is elevated. Like all of the characters are good, and then they elevate the main character, and then when he elevates, he brings all of them with them.
Yeah.
This isn't one of these things where I can't stand this in these more modern Marvel movies, not to keep beating these up, but where, they make fun of Thor or they diminish Thor or whatever. I'm like, well, if Thor's such a goofy loser, why am I watching this?
Yeah.
Like, the movie is called Thor. He should be the best character. Captain America, make no mistake, because I've had a few people who I talked to about this who are like, well, did the Winter Soldier outshine Cap? No, this is Captain America's movie all the way. You're with him. He makes the right decisions. He loses, but he wins because Bucky at the end did start to think, okay, what's going on here? That is a win. The guy's had decades of brainwashing, like, to break through, and Captain America broke through with his heart and his love for his friend. And that is how Captain America wins. That's why he is the best hero in the MCU. That's why he can pick up the hammer. This movie showed that. It didn't shy away. It didn't think it was cheesy. It didn't make him look like goofy. It's very easy to make an Americana guy. Top Row's Canadian. And I'm like, Captain America's the best guy. And it's like, I don't care about who's in what country. I care about the hero who wants to do the right thing for the right reasons because it's the right thing to do. And he wants to help his friend. And Winter Soldier did show that while still delivering great action and some gritty stuff. And look, Winter Soldier's badass, right? Everyone's like, okay, I'm dressing up as Winter Soldier at the next. All right, Classic Comics. Which one do you like better?
Okay, so again, it's kind of a tough call between the two. I would probably again lean Winter Soldier. I know. I think what Steve said, he compared it to Empire Strikes Back. I think I would say Civil War is more The Empire Strikes Back myself, but I see what you're saying. I do think that your points about if Winter Soldier had been made, say, in the last couple of years, it would be a significantly different movie.
Yeah,
right.
First of all, Steve would, when at the end with the final fight against Bucky, like Black Widow would have been there and helped him,
right,
to win, and they would have played up the Steve being a fish out of water in the present. He wouldn't know how to operate like a laptop. He wouldn't know this or that, and they would have sort of mocked him for that, and
right.
other things like I'm sure Sharon Carter would have made him look foolish in some way or another as well.
Right.
So I do think, it's not just the better of these two. It's really on the short list of the best MCU movies. There really aren't many that are better than this. Really, it's arguable for any of them. I think you could make an argument for maybe the first Guardians of the Galaxy, or maybe the first Avengers film, or this as being the best MCU movie myself. So I would definitely lean to this one. Although, of course, I love both of those movies. First Avenger as well.
Okay. All right, Gray. It's all up to you. Which one do you like more?
I have one question about First Avenger.
The answer is 42.
I was about to say. The answer's 42, man.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Hitchhiker's Guide.
All right, when Captain America was on the plane, why did he have to crash it? Couldn't he just, land it?
He didn't know how to.
Yeah, like it wasn't on a countdown. Are
you talking about part 1 at the end?
Yeah. Like I always wondered about that. Couldn't he just go land in the plane in like Nova Scotia or
we would have shot him down.
Scotia.
Nova Scotia, they're tough in Nova Scotia.
You wouldn't have got past Newfoundland, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying though, like
you would have grown up a lot different. No.
Yeah, that would have been. That's Red Sun you're talking about now.
Like to me, the first
Captain America Newfoundland.
Captain Newfoundland? What?
Yeah, Captain America St. John's edition. Growing up on George Street.
Sorry.
I always think of the first Avenger like a nice glass of brandy. It's nice, it makes you feel good. It's old, you feel fancy. Winter Soldier is a bit more rugged. Also,
but see, this sounds like evasion. It's like you're like, so which one? This sounds like you're not answering the question. I don't know. Do you want to be rugged or do you want to be more sophisticated? I don't know what.
J-Man, what you said, Captain America, the main character is supposed to inspire everybody else. What Winter Soldier did, there's certain parts in Winter Soldier that you saw people who are inspired by Captain America to do the right thing, like those soldiers who were saying those fighter pilots who are like, Captain America needs our help. Like we're going in the air. Yeah, they all got killed, but the thought was nice. But I'm giving it to First Avenger.
Oh wow, shocking!
Wow, I didn't call that one at all.
Wow, all right. So first,
heel turn.
What happened? Yeah, heel
Pearl
turn.
Harbor job, man.
Yeah, man. I was all ready for Winter Soldier. I was like, what happened?
All right,
Seth
so
Rollins, you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no, we're not doing that. I can't.
No.
Say that's getting tiresome with the crowd now.
Paul Orndorff. Yeah.
Paul Orndorff.
Yeah. Okay. So let's recap. Everybody. It was a clean. So story. It was a clean win for Winter Soldier. Pacing. Winter Soldier took all the votes. Artistry. Winter Soldier got 3 votes to 2. Winter Soldier got 3 votes to 2 on the characters, and for the enjoyment of it got First Avenger got 3, so it won that category. Overall, Winter Soldier still wins. Now Steve, you've been on every single, almost 99% of my verses, and there's been a lot of them now. This has been probably the closest of any of the movies that we've done, and we've done a lot of big ones. And I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, it's this one was tough because, damn, even ones that you think are close. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
We did like Karate Kid 1 versus 2, and I think 2 edged out for some reason, just because.
One, but we're all crazy on the panel. That panel anyway. But no, 2 was insane. I think it's just that we have so much respect for both films, and it's like when we talk about movies in the MCU that we struggle with, it's the same old stuff, right? It's the stuff that a lot of people struggle with, or most people struggle with, the majority struggle with. No one struggles with these 2 movies. No one, whenever they're talking smack about the MCU, brings up these 2 movies, right? Never, ever. These are ones that everyone universally agrees are both terrific films.
Yeah.
And it's hard, like, even thinking back now, like when I rewatched Winter Soldier, I wasn't blown away in the theater, but I was shocked by what I got. I was not expecting that. I was blindsided. When I was able to get over that and sit down for Winter Soldier at home, I was absolutely destroyed with how
Yeah, me
spectacular
too.
that movie is. I ran out and I got it on 4K like almost the next day. It was like
Right.
fantastic. I've always enjoyed the First Avenger.
First Avenger.
So it was like this was this no way is this an easy one. Like this is definitely like this will go down as one of the hardest ones ever.
Yeah, this was the most difficult. So, Chris, this was your first time doing this. What do you think about how we did this, and what are your thoughts on how the categories played out? Did you enjoy?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I'm glad that you came up with this concept years ago and that you're still practicing it today. If this ever happens again, for the love of God, please don't put two movies that are just so damn good up against each other.
This is what we.
Yeah, I'm all joking aside, though. I think the biggest struggle that the five of us have is this. Chris Evans delivers as Captain America. When I look at him on the screen, it's Captain America.
Yeah.
And he is so perfect in his representation in the comics that I've read for my entire life.
Yeah.
He is Captain America. And that's what makes these movies so great, that he follows the character in the books that we read. When he became Nomad, we see in Endgame, he is Nomad. He is the man without a country.
Yeah.
Chris Evans delivers every single time, and that's what, to me, looking at Phase 5 and forward, is so heartbreaking. I get everyone fell in love with Iron Man, but for me, it's Captain America. I'm with Jay on this one. 100%. Captain America was my favorite character from the original Avengers moving forward, and the fact that we are now absent of him, I still feel it. I look at these movies and I still wait for him to show up, and that's not to take away from Falcon now, who in his own rights has the opportunity now to deliver as Captain America. And I hope he does, because I am enjoying his storyline. We have the Symbol of Liberty and we have the Symbol of Truth, and I'm enjoying his storyline as well. But Chris Evans was Captain America. And in the end, the last person standing against Thanos was the right character. It wasn't Iron Man. It was Chris Evans as Captain America. And the best part, when the first person to walk, when he turned around, the first person to walk through was Black Panther, the way it should have been as well.
And to your point, Chris, what I loved about that scene at the end was his shield is broken.
Yeah.
He gets up. He's literally facing an army. He recinches his shield, and he gives him this 1,000-yard stare like he's never stopping. I don't care if you bring an army. I'm going down to the last.
And that's the best part. He was literally looking at an army solo, and he never looked back. He didn't look down for Thor. He didn't look for Iron Man. He just, like you said, he tightened up. He gritted his teeth, and he didn't have to say it, because we all knew what he was thinking, that he could do this all day.
You know, I'll say this real quick too about the Marvel MCU. It started with like Hulk, Iron Man, and stuff, and then the thing is that because they leaned into the characters, you would think that sorry, Gray, plug your ears. This is my problem with X-Men. Well, actually, unplug your ears, Gray, because you agree with this. Cyclops is the leader of the effing X-Men. When is that happening?
Yeah.
Like, when is that going to happen in these X-Men movies? It's like Wolverine took over. Look, everybody likes Hugh Jackman.
Oh, God.
Seriously.
He's great, but he's not the leader of the X-Men. Stop it. And look at the way the MCU did it. Iron Man was a big movie. Everyone likes it. Everyone liked Robert Downey Jr. All of a sudden, Iron Man, A-list character. He was a B-list character growing up. You're like, Iron Man's3 but really, it's like C-list. Okay, give him the C-list. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. And then he skyrocketed up, and Hulk was in there. But when the movies came out and started to come out in a sequence, Captain America was the leader. They didn't make Iron Man the leader of everything because they're like, oh well, he's the cooler, more popular character. They're like, no, Captain America is the man here, and that's what the X-Men movies did not do. They're like, well, Wolverine and Mystique are popular. Let's throw them everywhere. It's like,
and they had a great actor in James Marsden.
Yes,
who was great as Cyclops. They could have pushed him. It could like we never got a fastball special, by the way. But right. But they had a good actor in Marsden.
What the hell? Anyways, I don't want to get into this X-Men fight, but anyways,
that's another argument.
That's another argument.
Yeah.
All right, Classic Comics. Are you happy how things turned out, or did you have fun?
Yeah. I think it's an interesting system you got there. It's good. When I do reviews, I'm not as like systematic about it as you. I just kind of give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down and make some comments. But this was nice, and it was a really tough choice between these two, because they're both very good movies. Like I think Chris was saying about Chris Evans, because I think originally Chris Evans, when they first approached him, he turned the role down multiple times, but they kept after him and eventually kind of wore him down. But his cap, it's like up there with like Christopher Reeve's Superman in terms of just embodying the character. It's really that good. And they just did a lot of really good work with casting in those early Marvel films, like with Robert Downey Jr. and everything. But anyway, thank you for having me on. Yeah, it was a fun time. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. I in high school, I took all the advanced math and physics and chemistry courses. And then I was like, well, I'm more of an arts guy, which is so weird. And then I'm like, I can't let the math go. So that's why I do my rating systems in 0.5. So I'll be like, this gets a 1.5 out of 2. It's like, I can't let math go. I don't know why. It's just always lingering there. So that's why I had to have a way to do it, but still kind of give that enjoyment factor where it's like, yeah, like I can still like a movie that I'm not critically. And again, it just has nothing to do with, this is just how I review stuff, just to talk about it. If you just ask me personally, it's like, was this an awesome movie? Like, yeah, it was awesome. I'm not going to give you a rating. I'm just going to be like, that was awesome. Go watch it. So Gray, you've done a bunch of these now, so you're a veteran of these. Are you happy with how this all turned out? Bell, what's going on? You missed you missed it all.
Bell, where are you?
Go back and watch. You gotta go. Winter Soldier 1. She'll be happy.
You damn kids. No. I'm okay with this. Like, at the end of the day, these are both really good movies.
Right.
Marvel perfect. We were in the golden era of Marvel. I think we're gonna get some golden era soon. Give us some time.
I'm not nervous at all.
Really? You
I'm
know what?
always nervous.
Really? Okay.
Because they didn't drop your hometown.
Ant-Man, didn't we? We said the same thing about Ant-Man.
While we're seeing Ant-Man Thursday, we might do a stream. I don't know if anyone's seeing it Thursday night, but I'll probably do something that Friday or Saturday. So it'll be a free for all if people want to come in and talk about Quantum Mania, and it'll probably be us shitting on it for several hours. But okay, let's check. Maybe not. I like the first Ant-Man a lot, actually. Let's look at the poll, and then I'm gonna let everyone plug their stuff. So we have 17 votes. 41% said that Winter Soldier is way better, and then it was tied for Winter Soldier by a hair, and a couple of people did say First Avenger was way better. So some people did say that as well.
Wow.
But Winter Soldier took the cake. Yeah, so a couple of people did. I can't see how many votes for each.
Well, I mean,
anyway, I'm gonna end the poll.
I'm mad at this because the Marvel was getting better every movie. I mean,
back then.
Yeah. Jeez. Yes, back then.
Now they're poo-poo.
Oh, stop.
I mean, come on. They were trying not to be Kick-Ass. Remember Kick-Ass?
I liked Kick-Ass.
No, they were trying not to be compared to Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay.
Like Kick-Ass was a huge hit. Remember?
Yeah.
Like if they had a whole plan for it, we'd be on like our third set of Kick-Ass movies.
Right.
Probably of Hit Girl.
Yes,
Hit Girl would have had her stuff. She would have had a TV show too. HBO Max.
All right, guys. We're gonna end off in a minute here. I've put the links to everyone's channel in the chat, but I've also put them in the description of this video. Although Classic Comics, I didn't get you on this one, but I'll go back and add you. And I'll add you, like, how Clobby has his list of channels in his description. I've got the same thing going, so I'll just add you on there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Gray, you've been on there. You've been on here like 100 times. So does anyone have anything going on? Steve, I know your book is out right now.
Yeah.
We've got the links to your author's page. Madhouse is awesome, so you should definitely get that. It's got the short stories. I really like when Steve does like the quirky horror.
Yeah,
I think that's like your best. That's your best.
I go back to my roots, right? Because reading
Stephen King and all that
was what first got me interested in writing, and then took it from there and learned about a bunch of different horror things. You know, everything from Bradbury to Edgar Allan Poe to stuff, and Anne Rice. You know, learning about all the different types of horror. So I really enjoy writing horror because I feel like I'm getting back to why I started to do that in the first place. So
cool. Yep. So that's available on all formats on any Amazon. So it doesn't matter where you are. They're on all the Amazons, I think, right? .com.ca. It's all the Amazons, right? Okay. Chris, you've got your memberships going. You've got your streams going. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, channel memberships are now available. Every Wednesday, I host an open invitation for New Comic Book Day that we call Show Us What You Got. Every first Wednesday of every month, I'll be giving away a Comic Army box, which is basically a prize pack for everyone that becomes a channel member. On Saturdays, on Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics YouTube channel, we host an award-winning show called Only Slabs. Give it a go. Sundays on my channel, there's a little show where myself and Marc from Legion of Comics were both 2 second-generation comic book readers, where we present one hot pick each. For the show, or pardon me, for New Comic Book Day that's coming up. 2 cool guys, 2 hot picks. And throughout the week, I have CGC unboxing, Walmart packs, openings, just a lot of fun comic book content.
Cool.
Thanks,
cool.
Jay.
Yeah. I love the Wednesdays, and I would come on every Wednesday, but I have a friend of ours who does the Action Elite, and I kind of help him with that.
All
he does
good.
Wednesday's the only time he can do it, but there's a Wednesday coming up where he's not going to be doing it, so I'm definitely gonna insert myself into
I look forward to it.
to that. Classic Comics, man. So you just started your channel not too long ago, right?
Well, no, actually, I've been around a little while, couple of years, but
okay.
You know, it's just sort of starting to gain some traction finally lately. I did just before we started this stream, I did post my latest video. I did a review of issue number 4 of Batman and the Joker Deadly Duo.
Oh, Marc Silvestri.
So feel free to check that out. Yeah, he's doing a really good job with this series. He's a great artist, of course, but I'm surprised at what a good job he's doing with the writing on it too. And I'm working on another video. It's probably going to be a Star Trek related video about this new Picard series.
Oh, are you going to beat it up, or is it okay? Or are you beating it up?
I mean, I don't know if I'll say beat it up because
it sounds bad when you say it. It sounds so AJ, man.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
I mean, in a way, it's really not even so much about the series. It's more kind of about this sort of discussion going on around the series, I think would be a better way to say it. And yeah, so hopefully that'll be out tomorrow.
Awesome. I'm a couple issues behind on the Marc Silvestri Batman Daily Duo, but I've been buying the physical books of it, mostly for the art. I'm an Image guy. I love Image comics. We're not having that argument right now. If anyone's not an Image person, but Gray, you're the living memory of the X-Men. What's going on in the X world here?
Oh man, so much. I'm about to start working on like I develop a method that to basically determine how long the X-Men have been around. So I'm about to start filming that.
Wow.
And like it's
that's hard.
So yes, it's very hard. I had to develop a method, it's a whole thing. But we got right now we're dealing with Sins of Sinister with the X-Men.
Yes.
Storm got shanked by that bitch Mystique. That bitch.
Thanks, Raquel.
And we got Bishop War College. Now we're seeing all the X-Men are black in Bishop's mind. This is very interesting.
Oh, I bought the Rob Liefeld cover on that.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't read it.
exactly. So like, it's good.
Why?
Like I'm about to start recording like after this.
I basically am Rob Liefeld, but without the money.
And not as angry.
No, he's not angry.
And a triplet for a wife.
Oh.
No,
All right.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld's wife is a triplet.
Yeah, like it's not just. Oh my gosh, Gray, stop it!
I thought he married triplets.
No. He married.
Yes, in Utah he did.
What
The
is
actor from
happening
Saved
with
by
this?
the Bell.
Okay, before the stream gets canceled, we're gonna.
Oh my god.
Okay, guys.
My Liefeld,
No, he's not going to cancel us. The internet will cancel. The internet is a thing. It walks around. It moves.
It's a living, breathing
It's a
entity.
yeah,
like the Kardashians.
like the Yeah, not the Kardashians, who are from Deep Space Nine. The Kardashians.
No, the Kardashians. The thing I'm trying to turn into.
Who are just as evil as the Kardashians now. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Tomorrow, Sean and I are going to be doing Days of Thunder, the awesome comics of the 90s. We're going to look at every single comic book that came out in January of 1991. And we're going to talk about them, maybe not as intelligently as we would like to, but we're going to try our best. So hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow for that. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much. Until next time.
Hey, friends. You've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.